Welcome to Rom Will's Money Matters. The real estate rich are loving this environment. Real estate rich. I don't think y'all have heard it said quite like that. But the real estate rich are loving this environment. You know what? They're going to have a chance to increase their funds because the real estate thing is serious. I mean, a lot of people talking about people getting, evicted and everything. A lot of people are talking about that. That's a major issue. And I heard a report that maybe 30% of the American population couldn't pay their rent or their mortgage. A lot of people are going to be selling their homes. A lot of people are going to lose their homes. You might have some whole complexes that might be emptying out. That's how deep it is. Imagine, depending on the neighborhood, maybe not one of those major complexes, but maybe those apartment. Because you got some people, they might own an apartment building, might have 12 renters in it or something. And that's going to mess with them if they got to kick them out because they might not necessarily get somebody new. Like this real estate market. In fact, some people saying this housing crisis, very potential housing crises might actually throw us into an actual depression. We're in a recession now. All right. And then even commercial real estate people, I mean, think about it. A lot of them weren't getting paid when these businesses were closed. And see, with a lot of landlords and stuff, they might not have had like that a fund to cover things. Especially like if it's like a landlord maybe own like a couple houses. Like my grandmother, she owned like a few houses. Right. And if, it was the same situation now, if she was still alive or, the family kept those properties, we might be in a situation where the people in those properties might not be able to pay. In fact, one of the properties my grandmother had owned also had a commercial space in it as well. Right. So what if it was a situation now the family still kept those properties, but the commercial client couldn't open and, the people in the housing part, they couldn't pay. Right. So a lot of people are losing stuff. And then there's people who don't own property. They might just have a mortgage they couldn't pay, and they might have, and some people might try to sell their houses or something. So but the real estate rich, shoot, they looking at all this like, boom. Because who are the real estate rich? They simply the people make their money off of flipping the houses. That's how much is renting, believe it or not. Maybe selling property, buying property real cheap. Because I'm going to tell you what, not only some people going to lose some money, a lot of property values are going down. People going to have to cut back on how much they were selling something for. All right. And then, with foreclosures, people moving, everything, they might have to try to just get what they can get. You might have some small apartment complexes. They might need new ownership. Shoot, the real estate rich, they the ones who will buy those things and do something or flip it or whatever. And real estate rich usually have enough funds to get through like any down periods. And I can guarantee a lot of them are looking. I remember during the last Great Recession, right? The last recession. I remember a dude who made six figures. He was saying, oh, yeah, the rich people loving this. and that's just in general. And I'm focusing on real estate for this podcast, but just in business. They're like, wait a minute, some houses going to be open? They can just move. In fact, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, because I was going to move from where I am now. I wanted a bigger space. But now with everything happening, I was like, because I wasn't interested in buying a house right now. I mean, I could buy one, but I didn't know if I was going to stay in the area. But I'm like looking now like, wait a minute. So it's like, and I'm just thinking, I'm not even investing in real estate. So imagine an actual real estate investor, what they're thinking about, what's on their mind right now. They're like, wait a minute, I can get that house. And trust me, they're going to be swooping in. When you get houses that get foreclosed, shoot, they get right there because they get them real cheap What they'll do is get them real cheap, fix them up, and then resell them. What they'll do, a lot of them they'll probably get them real cheap. They might say the house was before the foreclosure, like a foreclosed house. Say before the foreclosure, it would have been worth $400,000, right? They could probably get it in a foreclosure sale. Some investor could get it maybe for 100,000, right? So they get in there, they fix up, because usually if a house is foreclosed, they usually needs a lot of stuff fixed up in there. Because if you can't pay the mortgage, you usually can't pay for any repairs. So, okay, they get in there and they fix that joint up. And they'll sit back and just wait. They might rent it out. Somebody can afford it. They might, but sometimes they might just get it and sit on it. Because even in a lot of places, you see some of those empty houses, you'd be surprised that somebody actually owns it. And they just sitting there waiting. And they might just wait for things to get better. And they'll fix it up. Or, they might just say, hey, I get it for 100,000. I could sell it for 300,000, even though it was worth 400,000 before, whatever. But they still making money regardless. So they loving it. They loving it. Or they might see some strip mall where the owners, couldn't, the businesses were closed. They might be moving out. They's like, shoot, let me make some money off of this. Trust me, there's always somebody. So they're going to start eating up some property. You're going to find, even though you have a lot of people losing property and they got to move, you're going to find the real estate rich. I use that term because they made their money through real estate. You're going to find they going to be like, oh, let me eat this up. Let me get this. So, and, in general, whenever you see situations like what's happening, somebody's going to make money. Pay attention. If you can try to, maybe if you can find a website or some online community that might talk about it, or, and it could be in whatever area. Try to say, in fact, just Google whatever area it is. Somebody making money. Like during this whole thing, people ain't saying that the cannabis industry is making money, So always look always look into that. So anyway, for all y'all real estate people, go out there and make that money.
Mm.